Welcome to Lost and Found No More Secrets with DNA Angels. If you're new to the world of DNA Angels, we are a search angel nonprofit organization on a mission to bring closure and connection to individuals seeking to identify their biological parents via their ancestry DNA results. Whether they are NPE, meaning not parent expected or non paternal event, donor conceived, adopted, or they just never knew who their biological parent is. Our goal is to provide guidance and support every step of the way. Join us as we embark on journeys of discovery, compassion, and the profound importance of knowing one's roots. Hi, my name is Heidi, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. As one of the team lead genetic genealogists at DNA Angels, I've had the privilege of being part of incredible journeys of self discovery and reunion. Today, we have Jennifer joining me on the show. Jennifer wears many hats at DNA Angels, playing pivotal roles in ensuring the smooth functioning of our organization. Among her many responsibilities, Jennifer serves as a genetic genealogist, guiding individuals to uncovering their biological truth. So, without further ado, let's welcome Jennifer to the show and delve into the incredible work we do at DNA Angels, fueled by a passion, dedication, and a shared sense of purpose. Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Heidi. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me on today to talk with you and John. I'm
You're
excited to
welcome.
be here.
You've had a busy day. Tell us where you've been today.
I have had a busy day. Right now, I live in New Jersey. Right now, I'm at the Gloucester County Historical Society building. I just finished a presentation on how to map your DNA matches. So I finished that, and they let me use one of their research rooms in the back, and I'm like, this is my family's from this area too, so I'm kind of itching to dig into some of these records, but I'll
Cool.
save that for another day.
That's awesome. You look really happy, like you just had a very productive day.
I did. I'm happy. I'm kind of riding the high right now.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Well, we have John on the show today, and you are John's search angel. And I'm going to
Mhm,
give a little bit of background about John's story
mhm.
before we bring him on. Meet John, whose life took a turn at 3 months old when his birth mother vanished, leaving him with a lifelong mystery about his father's identity. Despite numerous obstacles, he never gave up searching. Now, after connecting with his birth mother's family in 2001, John connected with DNA Angels to continue his quest for answers. His story is a testament to resilience and the enduring pursuit of truth. Let's welcome John to the show.
Hi there. Good afternoon.
Hi,
Hi,
John.
John. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us, John.
My pleasure.
I have to tell you that Jennifer has talked about you. I've never met you, and I really don't know all of your story, but Jennifer has mentioned your story
Mhm,
1,000 times. So I know that she's really excited to be able to see your face
mhm.
and hear your story in person.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm excited to see her for the first time too.
yeah.
This is
John, I
terrific.
just have a spot in my soul for. It was just such a joy to work with you, and you were involved every step, and you always had this positive outlook toward everything, with the bumps and everything. It's just been a pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, let's start at the beginning, John. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about your family structure and what it was like growing up for you.
The adoptive family structure. Um,
Yeah, right.
well, as far back as I can remember, I knew I was adopted. The only clear conversation I can remember, I was quite small, and my mother had told me that my original name was Larry, and that's really all I remember. And she told me that my birth parents had been killed in an automobile accident together. So that was that. And I had a good life growing up. They were very kind, loving people. They gave me a terrific life. I have couldn't possibly complain about any of that. However, as any other adoptee will recognize, it's not the same. You don't look like anybody. You really don't fit in with the extended family smoothly. Everybody was nice, but it just didn't feel right. And all along, I always felt to be on the outside of things and not involved or included the way I would have felt more comfortable with. So that continued. So I really can't complain about my childhood in that sense. Nobody gave me a hard time about being adopted, although I do remember in grammar school in 8th grade we had to write a family history. You had to build a family tree, and mine said I'm adopted, and some of my friends thought that was really cool because I didn't have to do this assignment.
You got asked.
I wanted to do this. I wanted to know about my family tree, but there wasn't one.
Have you or someone you know had an unexpected discovery after taking an at-home DNA test? Perhaps you are adopted or a donor-conceived person? DNA Angels is founded on the principle that it is a fundamental human right to know who our biological parents are. Our mission is to promote family connections by providing support, guidance, and expertise to individuals facing the complexities of non-paternal events, donor conception, or adoption. DNA Angels, finding families one DNA strand at a time.
And that just became part of life. So I really didn't think about it too much until as an adult in my mid-years, a healthcare professional asked me about my childhood. He mentioned he thought that I had separation anxiety and asked me about my childhood. And so I told him what I knew. And he said, well, have you looked into any further? And I said, no, I haven't. And someone suggested that I use the services of a gentleman who described himself as a confidential intermediary. And he is a person that would look into these kinds of issues, almost like a private detective. And he found my court record, the record of my actual adoption, and found the agency that handled my case. And by what means I'm not exactly sure, he located my birth mother's family. And this was during the war. I was born the day after they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki.
No, really?
So this goes back to 1945, and my mother's husband was in the service overseas, and she was experimenting, and so that's what happened. And so this gentleman put me in touch with my mother's side of the family, and then I got to know what happened with her. And I don't know,
was she still living whenever you made contact?
I'm sorry?
Was your mother still living whenever you?
No. She disappeared when I was 3 months old. She was living outside the home when she got pregnant. She moved back in the home. Her father, they were German immigrants, and they were very old country, old school, and he couldn't bear the sight of having an illegitimate child in his house. And so there must have been a lot of friction. And at one point she just left and disappeared forever. Never to turn up. Her Social Security record stopped, everything.
Wow.
So we had no clue whatever happened to her. And she was the eldest of 3 sisters, and her middle sister had already passed, and the youngest sister was alive. Her name was Marjorie, and she remembered taking care of me when my mother would go out. She remembered changing my diapers, she said. And we became very, very close. So I had 9 or 10 years with her before she passed, and that was a blessing to have that part of the family.
Let's back up just a little bit. Did you have any adopted siblings growing up? I mean, did your parents, it was just you? You were an only child growing up?
Yeah, I was an only child.
I was curious about that.
That's another thing I'm not fond of. I think for me, I'm of the opinion that children need peers. But anyway, that's beside the point.
So when you, what year was it whenever you were able to tell your biological mother's family? It was 2001.
That was 2001.
So was your adoptive parent still alive then?
No, they had passed in the 70s.
Oh, a long time ago.
70s and 80s. So they had no clue. So I didn't have to deal with that kind of an issue that many other people do, fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
They have no clue what they would have thought.
John, can I ask what made you decide it was time to try to figure out who your father was?
Well, since there was no information about my father, I've always wondered since when I first learned who my mother was and what happened with her, then the next question is, who's my father? And there was no clue. There was one gentleman that was named in the agency's records that we thought was my father. Mm-hmm. In fact, I even contacted him, and he thought I probably was. And he thought he probably was my father. And he had 5 children, but he didn't want his family to know about me. So I thought, well, I would try to somehow, I thought I would try to learn more about the family, but before doing that, I wanted to be absolutely sure. So we did testing, and it came up negative.
Oh, man.
So, and he would have been a good guy to have as a dad. So then I just kept joining DNA services once they became available. And I just kept thinking I would probably never find out, but what the heck. So I joined several services thinking maybe on the odd chance might come across something, and nothing came of it until I had been a member of Ancestry for several years, and I got a message through the Ancestry system from a lady in Scotland saying that we were related. And we were 4th cousins, but there were several other matches that we shared. We had common matches, and she wanted to look into it further. And she is an amateur genealogist herself. So I gave her access to my tree, and she kind of narrowed down the portion of the family tree where she thought I might fit. And then she mentioned DNA Angels. I had never heard of you guys. So I contacted you, and you took my case, and I didn't tell Jennifer anything about this other lady's information. I wanted just to be, to have it go in cold. And Jennifer found it in I think it was 48 hours.
Wow. Jennifer, do you remember his case? Do you remember what his answers were like?
I remember his case. I remember a lot about his case. And I remember, with every case that we get, Heidi, it's like you just, you get in the zone and you work all of the matches to the best of your ability. And I remember feeling like John was watching. I remember thinking like this, he's watching, he wants to know everything that's happening. So I just intentionally, so sometimes I feel like they just want to know what you get to in the end. Sometimes you feel like the client's just like, here's my DNA. Can you just let me know what you find? And then other times they're like, you get the feeling that they want to be involved. So I definitely got that feeling with John. So I just made sure to update him, like with all of these, like seemingly little things, but the little things come together. So we were in touch. It might have only been 48 hours, but we were definitely in touch a lot over those 48 hours for sure.
That is awesome. So tell me, what did you find out about your biological father?
Well, found out who he was, and that he had 8 children and 20 some odd grandchildren. So when I started my quest 20 some years ago, I was alone in the world. Mm-hmm. And 2 years ago, when this actually happened, suddenly I had this enormous family tree with all these relatives, and it's a very, very odd feeling, just an incredible feeling, and I'm still getting adjusted to the concept.
Mm.
And I only had one picture of him, and which I had found in a high school yearbook, and obviously that wasn't a very good picture, and I was trying to find more. I had tried to make contact with the family members through another person, and that didn't work out. Nobody responded. And I thought, well, it wouldn't improve their lives much if I did actually make contact with them. And I didn't know if I wanted to intrude. But so I did want some more pictures. So I was looking, and this was only very recently. I was looking on the internet to see if I could find another picture. And what I did come across was a clip, an obituary clip from the Tribune, which mentioned his funeral and a couple little facts. Then the last line said, donations may be made to such and such church in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is a neighboring community.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good friend in Crystal Lake who knows about my situation, and we chat from time to time. And so I mentioned it to him about this church, and he said, "Oh, I used to go there. I know some people there." And to make a long story short, he put together a meeting with about 6 people who knew my father when he was alive. And we had a nice long common chat. And the first thing 2 of them said when they saw me is they said, "He looks just like."
Really?
And that's the first time in my life I've ever looked like anybody. And
What did that feel like for you?
Except for my children, obviously. But
Yeah.
right, even now it chokes me up, because that's something that we adoptees have never had in our lives, and to discover that, it's just unbelievable. It's an amazing feeling, and it made all those years, all that patience pay off.
Yeah.
Like
I
you were-
love that they did that for you, that they pulled that group together, and to be a fly on the wall, I can only imagine,
And we, after that meeting, this friend and I drove past the house that he lived in and raised his family in, and yeah, it was a very, very emotional day, and I can't believe that it's happened. That all this has happened. It took a long time, but finally came full circle. And one of the people who was in this meeting is a very close friend of one of his children. And there's a slight possibility that there may be a little opening coming up there, but so it's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
Not over yet, yeah.
So you haven't had it. You said that your biological father had 8 children. You haven't had any communication with any of his
No,
any of your
No.
siblings? No.
no. And if it happens, it will be wonderful. If it doesn't, I'm okay, because we've come this far, and like I say, I know who I am now. And the odd thing is that one of the people sent me a picture of him taken late in life, and he was wearing a Bears hat, Chicago Bears hat, standing in front of a building on Northwestern University. And I'm a Bears fan, and I taught for 10 years at Northwestern.
Wow. He would.
When I saw that picture,
Ugh.
Wow. And yeah, so.
And John, I remember you saying that you had read, you had talked a lot about the book, The Primal Wound,
Yes.
with me. And it sounded like that was a really powerful resource for you. Was there anything else that you would recommend to other adoptees, maybe to help them find some strength or the sense of understanding?
Now there are a lot of books out. When I first started looking, there weren't that many, and that was an early one. There's a lecture by a gentleman by the name of Sunderland, who speaks about adoption. He's an addiction counselor, but adopted people are very heavily represented in the addiction community, and that was very helpful to me. And he talks a lot about the fact that this separation, he calls it relinquishment, is developmental PTSD. And that it's a massive trauma that is remembered but not recalled. And that's the root, I think, of this separation anxiety, the willingness to please beyond reasonable, please people beyond reason, because you've been relinquished once and you don't want it to happen again. You're afraid to lose people.
Right. I've heard that it's very common for adoptees to have abandonment issues.
Well, and I was abandoned at 3 months, and there's a wound there. Not only the abandonment, but the fact that when my mother left, her father called the police and had him take me away. And so I was put into an orphanage. I was in an orphanage for a year before finally getting adopted. And I suspect that year of not having consistent caregiver to bond with, that can affect somebody too. So
very pivotal part of your life. But
I think that Nancy Verrier and Paul Sunderland, those are the two. And another gentleman that has a lot to say on this subject, and also things about addiction and related things, is Gabor Mate. He's a physician who is now specialized in these kinds of things, and he is worth listening to. He's an incredible speaker and very in tune with people's emotions and deep feelings, because he experienced many of these issues himself in his lifetime. But the other advice I would give is don't give up. For one, I'm a member of a lot of the adoption forums on Facebook, private forums. It's so sad to see people who they say, "Oh, I'll never know, I'll never find." Yeah, and that's not true.
All right. I hope that you comment and remind them of your story a little bit to never give up.
Yeah. And the saddest thing is, just recently there were a few people. Somebody posed the question, what would you do if you could have changed something that happened in your story? And several people said, I would have aborted me. And that's so sad. It's so touching, heartbreaking, but it shows how deep the wounds can be for relinquishment. You know. Yeah. When you relinquish, you can't unring the bell. It happened. It will never unhappen.
I have a question for you, John. If you had an opportunity to ask one question to your biological mother, what would be one question you would ask her?
Why couldn't you take me with you?
What do you think her answer would have been?
I have no clue. She left a brief note that I only was able to see part of, that didn't really explain anything. She said, I'll miss my little Larry, and that's kind of it, but I don't know. And I have to understand too, that I can't only be angry with her that happened, that she was under probably a lot of pressure at home. There's a lot of details about the family life that sounds unpleasant.
Yeah.
So.
Well, on a positive note, even though you weren't able to connect with your father's side of your half siblings on his side, you did get a very close connection with someone on your mother's side, and we're very happy to have him join us on this today. Let's have Rick come up. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Heidi. Hi,
Hey,
Jennifer.
Rick.
Hi,
Thank you.
cousin John.
John, explain to us who Rick is and how you have developed a relationship with him.
Well, he is one of 4 of my mother's middle sister's children, and I think Rick. Well, I'll let Rick tell his part of it, but the one surviving sister, Marge, she's the first one that I met. She and one of Rick's brothers I met the very first time, and then later on it was that same year. I think it was Christmas time. We were invited with the rest of the family to a gathering with all of the brothers, their brothers and sisters, and my aunt and some other people, and I was in glory. That was just phenomenal, and they all the 4 children and their spouses welcomed us with open arms and have ever since. And they were delighted to meet us, and they have been loving and wonderful and kind, and it's everything I could have asked for in being united, finally united with the rest of the family.
Rick, how did you hear about John? When did he first come on your radar?
I can't remember about exactly how I found out. When I did find out, I was sort of taken back, surprised, but in a good way. Like, well, that's good. Maybe we could. I immediately thought maybe we can meet him. Obviously, being on the other end of John's long search all these years, we had no clue. So, seeing it from his point of view, it just had to be amazing to finally make a connection. And I always grew up with the feeling of, accept people for who they are, no matter what, there's, to not accept them or not to meet him just wouldn't be the way I am.
That's awesome.
So, when I hear John talk about, even his half siblings, I would just say, just give it a chance, give it a shot if they would. There's no harm in it. There's no obligations. It's just a matter of, why not?
I love your heart, because as a search angel, that's something that we try really hard to help people connect and reunite with their biological family. And when I hear want somebody that I help come back to me and say they think I'm scamming, they don't believe in DNA, they won't return, they blocked me on Ancestry, it just really hurts my heart. I wish more people had your attitude, Rick.
Well, I hope to be optimistic and hope that more people are so than not. But, it just, I can't think why I wouldn't want to meet John if this is, the truth. And, I'm always looking for that too, is just knowing the truth about every and anything. So,
yeah.
So, John, tell us about the first time that you got to meet Rick in person. What was that like?
Well, that was at a whole family gathering during Christmas time, and so Rick was part of this. Oh, how do you describe it? It's this incredible group of people that you've been looking for really all your life and finally found, and yet you don't know them yet, and I was very self-conscious, I'm sure, at the time, but everybody was so gracious, and it was that holiday thing going on, and just the atmosphere of love and welcome and warmth. It was just I wish everybody could experience that. Those that aren't able to. It's a wonderful thing to happen, and that doesn't stop. We get together quarterly, all the whole group for sure. The Aunt Marge, her 2 children, one of them lives in Texas, and she and her husband come in from time to time. In fact, later on this month, we're getting together with the whole group again, and so it's just it's a gift every time we meet, and it doesn't stop. It's just phenomenal. And like I was telling Rick before, it just seems like it's been going on forever.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just so comfortable. It's like it never wasn't.
So do you see, I know you said that you got comments that you look like your father. Have you noticed in the family that you're getting the opportunity to know Rick and, the other cousins and all that. Have you noticed any similar hobbies, or is there any like physical likenesses on that side?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Rick, are you aware of any? I really don't think so. I tell you one thing though. I have I got pictures of all my father's children in one photograph.
Mhm.
Made a montage, and we all have the same nose.
Okay. Okay.
I've got
Okay.
I've got that family's nose. There's no doubt about it. But yeah.
Do you
So
have?
take-
You said that you have children, John.
Yes, I have two.
How has you're finding your biological family, has that had any effect on how on your children and them getting to know a little bit about their extended family as well?
Oddly, they haven't said much. They haven't said much. I don't think, if you haven't experienced the kinds of things that we do when we're adopted and relinquished, I think it's very hard to even picture what it might be like.
Right.
So I can't, if anybody doesn't understand my situation, it's not on them.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about it. I'm thinking maybe this, when they see this episode, maybe it will stimulate some more conversation about it.
Have you or someone you know had an unexpected discovery after taking an at-home DNA test? Perhaps you are adopted or a donor-conceived person? DNA Angels is founded on the principle that it is a fundamental human right to know who our biological parents are. Our mission is to promote family connections by providing support, guidance, and expertise to individuals facing the complexities of non-paternal events, donor conception, or adoption. DNA Angels, finding families one DNA strand at a time.
I think it's hard, John. So my son's very like disinterested in my like getting to know my biological father. He's just not interested, and like that's okay. He doesn't have a hard time with it. He's just like whatever,
Mm.
But I think it almost comes from like if you're not interested, that means you haven't experienced it, and good for you,
Yes.
because for those of us that have, you don't have to explain it. If you wanted to just say, I just found this out to someone else who's been in a similar situation, I'd probably 19 times out of 20, they're going to say, what do you want to tell me about it? Like, talk to me, and just sit there and listen and let you talk. And the ones that haven't been in the scenario will just say, okay, but they're still your dad, that's still your mom, and whatever. And because it's really, really challenging to understand. Really challenging to understand.
There's a whole curiosity about it, being curious, like in John's situation.
Sure.
I want to search out who is my father, who is my mother biologically, what happened, do I have more relatives in it? So can I meet them? Just the curiosity of it all is just a big part of it. And if, like you just said, if you've never been put in that situation, don't know what that feels like, you won't have that curiosity because you don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Jennifer, do you remember if any of John's siblings tested? I wondered if you remembered off the top.
I don't recall. I feel like there was some nieces or nephews, but I don't think there was siblings.
A nephew.
A nephew.
Okay.
A nephew and a granddaughter.
Okay.
So she would be, yeah. I have one of my half nieces and half nephews.
I was just thinking about if and when you go to your half siblings on your dad's side, what DNA evidence do you have to say?
He has it.
So,
yeah, I've messaged both of them several times through Ancestry. And
That's a really hard place.
no
I don't
response.
think people check their messages there much.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But it sounds like we did discuss, contact information and, phone calls or
Yes.
emails or anything of that sort, and you didn't want to go that route, and that's your decision to make. It sounds like word is getting into the family, through other avenues, maybe in the way that you're more comfortable with, and
Well, I think I'm uncomfortable with it because of this same separation anxiety, fear of rejection, fear of relinquishment, fear of not, being rejected again.
yeah.
So,
Well, you got us.
That's right. And you got us, John. That's right.
yes. Well, I'm blessed. I really am blessed.
Yeah.
And I would just hope that other people can see that it can happen, and that being positive is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hurt out there that negativity is automatic, and that gets in the way of anything positive. So trying to stay positive and trying to stay optimistic is a big help. I know it's hard. I've been there.
Well, we cycle, right? You cycle.
Yeah.
Some days are easier than others. And Rick, I'm sure that you've seen that, and probably, what do you do with it? You just have to let it cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
So tell me, John and Rick, after the two of you have been, I want to say, reunited or maybe united for the first time, what, when you look back, is one of your favorite moments together that you're willing to share with us?
One of mine was, I think it was the second year. I had a birthday party. I threw myself a birthday party at a forest reserve in Wakanda, Illinois. It was about a year and a half after we had met, and I invited all my new relatives, all my new family to the birthday party at the forest reserve, and we had a blast. And that was one of the best days of my life.
Mm.
That was a lot of fun. Now that you say that, I recall how fun that day was. Like a forest preserve type of place, and we had food. We played a little hitting baseball and catching, and it was a fun time. I wish I still was young enough to do that.
it was being together.
Yeah,
together. It was just sublime. Yeah, that's one of my real favorites.
I see the smile on your face, John, when you reflect back to that memory, and it just warms my heart, really does, that we were able to bring you your biological truth and put this mystery at rest.
Yeah, that was cute. They both smiled the same, like, oh yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of it right. As soon as you brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So,
it's a feeling
like you said, it was how many years ago now that was. So.
Yeah.
But that was a good time. And as much as our brunches are just to meet whoever can meet, like you said, quarterly or at least twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, whoever can make it. We spend.
I'll come.
Eat and talk and what's going on, and it's just fun.
I see the Chicago Bears in Rick's background there. I'm seeing a common theme here.
Well, I sort of did that on purpose. I was looking for a spot to set up. I'm like, how about that? So,
it's perfect.
I like the Bears too, obviously. But.
That's awesome. Well, John, to close things out, tell me if somebody finds himself in the same situation that you did, when after you have already found your biological mother, you get your ancestry DNA results, and you're not really sure what to do. I know you had that fourth cousin trying to help you, and you're just overwhelmed. What advice would you give to somebody in that same position?
Stay the course. Not to give up. To allow the good things to happen. When bad things happen to people, I know for myself, for a long time I was very pessimistic. And the same person, oddly enough, the same person that noticed the separation anxiety in me, also noticed that I always expected the worst to happen. He said, well, why not expect the best to happen?
Right.
Can't the best happen? And I would just encourage people to work on the idea that the best can happen as well as the worst.
And be prepared either way.
Yeah. And really not to have wild expectations. I used to have these fantasies of what would happen if I finally found my mother. What would I say? What would I do? And wouldn't it be wonderful? And we'd run to each other hugging and, you know, like a commercial on TV or something. And then I read the recounts of people's real experience at that and some of the horrible things that happened and how terribly disillusioned and hurt people are. And so the expectations, trying to just ignore them and not anticipate the worst, and allow the best to happen.
Right. Great. That's great advice.
Yeah.
And Rick, what is your advice to somebody that gets say they get a random Facebook private message that says, "Hey, I think that we can be related. Would you help me in trying to figure out the possible way that we could be related?" What advice would you give to somebody that's worried about being scammed, or is it true?
I would. I don't know how you would go about getting around maybe not thinking it's a scam as much as maybe can we meet somewhere, you know, so at a neutral spot maybe. I think if both parties are willing to meet at a neutral spot, maybe then it's not so scamish. Mm-hmm. But you know, you might lose out on an opportunity to actually meet someone that is related to you, like John was. You know, it's like, what if we all would have said, "No, that can't be right," and we just would have never, you know, said, "Let's meet." You know, so you know, look what happened, and it's just like, wow, you know, who knew? You know, and I'm glad he found us after all this time because we didn't know. You know, so you know, like I said earlier, I said with his half siblings could just, you know, even a couple of them out of the 8 you said, you know, just give it a chance, you know, just to sit down and talk. You have some coffee, you know, then you can decide from there if you want this to continue or like, no, I'm good. So,
yeah.
I'm putting myself in your position, Rick, and I'm thinking if I was in your position, I would be having to sit on my hands to not reach out myself to be, you don't know what you're missing out on.
I know.
He's a treasure. Like, you really need to you know, give this a shot because you're truly missing out.
Everyone wants acceptance. No one wants to be rejected. And it hurts when you are. So, you know, like I said earlier too, that's how I grew up. You know, you don't want to be rejected. So learn to accept people, you know, because they might be hurting. They might need someone to accept them.
And they haven't yet. I shouldn't say yet. They haven't rejected. They haven't had the opportunity yet. It hasn't been presented.
Right.
So in their defense, I just want to make it clear for any viewers, they have not turned their back on anybody. They just, the door hasn't necessarily been opened yet. But it sounds like John said, right? The future will reveal more.
Right.
Yeah, it's not over. This isn't over.
It's not. And then you'll have to update me again. I beam. Whenever I get a message, Heidi, and it comes up with John's name, I know something good is coming, and I'm always like, all right, like, I get it.
Well, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to forward the update to me because I'm invested now myself. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John and Rick, for coming on. You've been delightful. I appreciate you sharing your story. It's so great of you.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and thank you so much for what you guys do. You angels is an appropriate word. It really is.
Oh,
very cool.
That's what you guys do is. Oh wow. Yeah.
That says it all right.
Really our pleasure.
Yeah.
Really our pleasure.
Definitely. There's healing and healing others, right? And you know, that's the whole thing.
And
That's the whole thing.
particularly in today's climate, you guys really stand out. You really do. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wishing you both the best.
Yeah, and John, I will. I'm going to reach out to you soon. Just in Laura has messaged here, and I want you to think about if you would like someone from DNA Angels to reach out to any of your siblings, to open that door. We do have a program with people that are trained to do that and know how to broach the topic and how to have the conversation very professionally, and that does seem to help with people thinking that maybe it's someone trying to scam you out of something. So think about that, and if that's something that you would like us to do,
yes, definitely,
let us know. Are you saying yes, you want us to, or are you saying yes, you'll think about it?
Yes. No, I think I would like to do that.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can do that, John. We'll do that. So I'll be in touch with you to talk about what that's going to look like.
Terrific. That's great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to continued working together.
You didn't even hesitate, so it confused me. Okay. Well, I'll be in touch with you. That's exciting.
What an amazing story. What a nice guy.
Oh my gosh. I know. He's a gem. Yeah. So I'm excited.
We usually have some kind of obit or funny tombstone or something like that, but with Jennifer being so busy today, we didn't get a chance to do that. But that's fine because it gave us more time to hear John's story. Yeah. And
I
get a lot of work behind you.
Really good ones in this building here, but no, we don't have that. But also, like, that's a fun way to do it, and I know it keeps it like within the structure. But I'm thrilled at how quickly he said.
Yeah.
But it was like, are you saying yet? Like, because I said I want you to think about it, and he said yes, and I was like, yes, you'll think. Like I'm excited for it. So we'll hopefully we'll see what happens, and hopefully he'll have
I hope so.
a breakthrough on that end. But you just have to. I feel like you just have to have. I have so much admiration for his outlook with the whole thing. It's his whole consistently has just been, we'll try and we'll see what happens, and whatever happens, it'll be good. And if more people in our world had that kind of thing, not you owe me anything, not I can't believe this happened to me. There was just no victimization. It was just, I have some pain. I'm working through my pain. I really want some answers. Can we just see if we can get them? And I feel lucky I got to be his angel. I just do. Yeah, I do.
I almost forgot. I almost forgot the giveaway.
Oh, the giveaway. Do the giveaway.
So we do a book giveaway every week. And in order to be entered into the giveaway, we need you to hit the subscribe button. And we'd like for you to like this video and make a comment. And we will do a random drawing and let you know on YouTube who is the person that did all three of those things. And we'll be possibly win that cool book. So we have our website. We have an array of books that you could choose from. So they're really, really neat books. So
yeah.
I almost forgot that.
You remembered. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Well, it's getting late here. I haven't had dinner yet, so I think I'm going to hop off.
Yeah.
And go get me some dinner. Jennifer, it's always great seeing your beautiful face.
You too. Good to see you too, Heidi.
All right. See you next time.
Have a good evening.
You too.